Welcome to the Diverse Minds podcast, where we give you the tips, tools, and techniques you need to be a mentally healthy and inclusive leader. Each week, you'll hear about a variety of topics linked to mental health, well-being, and diversity that will enhance both your professional practice and personal well-being. Welcome to the 285th episode of the award-winning Diverse Minds podcast. And of course, it's South Asian Heritage Month, running from the 18th of July to the 17th of August, with this year's theme, Roots to Roots, R-O-O-T-S to R-O-U-T-E-S. Don't forget the podcast is now fortnightly, but if you're missing weekly content, you have 5 years worth of episodes to reflect back on. And if you want my handy guide that lists the episodes with a clickable link, you can get it at bit.ly/DMPG23. So South Asian Heritage Month seeks to commemorate, mark and celebrate South Asian cultures, histories and communities. The month seeks to understand the diverse heritage and cultures that continue to link the UK with South Asia. And this year's theme, Roots to Roots, honouring our journey, is all about how each of us carries a unique story shaped by our roots, R-O-O-T-S, and the roots, R-O-U-T-E-S, travel to get to where we are. And this year, the invitation is for us, as from the South Asian diaspora, to reflect on our journey, whether we're thinking about ancestral origins, to the path we've taken, or something much more recent, and how these experiences shape our identity today. So roots, R-O-O-T-S, can include ancestry and heritage. So how we connect to that, what our family history is, if we know it, if we have access to it, cultural traditions, geographical origins that have shaped our identities. Past experiences, so this could be both positive and negative, that have shaped our beliefs, values, and perspectives. Sense of belonging, so our roots can provide that sense of belonging. Maybe we can't put roots down in the place that we want to, but also potentially where we feel our roots are, that connection to a community and a feeling of community and shared heritage in the past. Roots can include, so R-O-U-T-E-S, our life's journey. So it encompasses the paths that we've taken, our choices, experiences throughout our lives. Adaptability and change. So this could be about the ability to adapt to new environments, how we've done that, cultures, situations, and navigating through our challenges. Growth and transformation. So how our roots that we've taken, the path that we've taken, can lead to or has led to personal growth, self-discovery, and a deeper understanding of the connection to our roots. And of course, the way in which we fit into the world at large. So I've just explained all of this. You might be thinking, well, why is this episode all about why we should stop asking people where we're really from? So given that this year's theme is Roots to Roots, surely a part of this is about asking about someone's roots and where they feel they're from. How can we seek to understand someone if we don't really know where they're from, etc.? So I'd also want you to refer to episode 252, That's Not My Name, all about our connection with our names to our heritage in many circumstances, why pronouncing names incorrectly is so painful for people and inappropriate. And even if you are monolingual in English, you can still make an effort. So I really hope you're enjoying the content of the podcast and want to keep up to date. If you are, then why not join my bi-monthly newsletter? When you subscribe, you will receive my white paper on inclusive language and mental health at work. And that link is bit.ly/ILMHCK. Okay, so Layla, you're annoying me. What am I meant to do? You're talking about roots to roots, then you're saying the title of the podcast is Stop Asking Where You're Really From. So this is an interesting one. And I think many of us from so many different backgrounds and cultures can attest to being asked where we're really from. And we say London, we say Suffolk, we say Birmingham, we say Cornwall, and someone looks at our skin and goes, wait, where are you really from? And I remember many years ago teaching a session on race equity at a particular university, and one of the delegates, and I might have mentioned this in another podcast episode, she was so brilliant, and she said to me, well, this is the interesting thing, isn't it? Because we are working with academics and we say to them, you can't ask someone where they're really from. But for those of us who were brought up in the UK in the 80s and 90s, we were told not to see colour and to not talk about race, but we could ask where people are from. Now you're telling people, no, let's talk about race, but you can't ask people where they're from. I'm sick of it. I'm fed up. Oh, just can't do anything right anymore. And that's it, isn't it? That's the thing. And I think that it really summed it up for me. For me, it was a light bulb moment, because I'm thinking, well, this is really easy. How can you not understand this? But of course, in the UK, yes, many many of us were told, act natural, don't see color, it's okay. And now we're asking people to talk about race, where it's much easier to say, oh, where are you from? Where are you really from? But it is like pressing on a bruise because it's subtly undermining a person's identity and reinforcing stereotypes. So it does lead to this atmosphere of othering, that we are the white majority and you are other. And or there might be a connection with India that lots of people have as one country in the South Asian area. And they want to talk about things, but actually we might not want to talk about it. We might be on our own journey of finding our roots to roots. So, and also I would say, when is it really relevant in the workplace to ask where someone's from? Now, the other pushback or the question you might be thinking is, well, I see people asking each other where they're from all the time. And this might be in the context not of othering. This might be in the context of, wow, I don't feel very comfortable here, or wow, I've seen someone who looks similar to me and I'm not from the white majority groups. And I want to know where they're from because I want to know if I can speak my language with them, if they can, if we can talk about some connections that we might have from what we define as our country of origin or a country that we have connection to. Now, that's different because that is not a power imbalance. That's not pressing on a bruise. It's saying, oh, I'm from here. I feel like you might be able to connect with me. I'm really desperate to talk about this particular aspect of my identity of culture. Can I do that with you? As opposed to someone from the white majority who's othering and saying, well, where are you from? And you say, Sheffield. No, 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 no. Where are you really from? Because your skin is not of a light shade or a white shade. That has a very different nuance to it. And, it really does assume that someone's identity is tied to a single specific thing, which is their skin color or origin, ignoring the complexities of diaspora experiences, how people identify, how people want to be identified, how people may or may not want to talk about it in the workplace. And it really does exacerbate a power imbalance about race, ethnicity, nationality, implying that someone's physical appearance doesn't align with their stated origin or how that you view them as from a different background, and that you have the right to know. Because you don't have the right to know, because this makes individuals feel like they don't belong, that they're outsiders, particularly in a workplace environment. And in the workplace, if there are not many people from that particular background, this is very, very isolating. And if someone's already answered the question and they've told you an answer and you don't like it, it's not for you to dig further. And often I'll joke and say, oh, yes, well, I'll just get my family tree out and then you get yours out and you tell me. And the way that I've pushed back is to say, oh, where are you really from? Wales, Scotland, Ireland? Oh, do you want to share your whole family history with me? And then maybe I can tell you a little bit about me. And you see the sort of pink, the blush creeping up the face. And oh, right, yes, I get your point. I'm very sorry. And I think that this is a form of bias leaking out in language, not unconscious bias, very obvious bias, because it reveals underlying assumptions about who you see as belonging and not belonging, even if it's unintentional. And for more on language, inclusive language, do check out episode 37, Why Bother with Inclusive Language, which is the second most popular episode of all time. So let's look at the two things and how they can be brought together. So stop asking where you're really from, but we also have this roots to roots. So what can we do instead? How can we enable people to share their stories without forcing them to give us their family history, tell us where they're really, really from, and put them on the spot? So the first thing is to build a relationship with people, a genuine working relationship. So we're talking about in the workplace, but also you could apply this in the personal space as well. So once you have a relationship established, that could be through work, through having chats in the kitchen about work, about the weather, then you might say something like, oh, for summer, my family is French, half French, white French, and we always go to this part of France. Is there anything you do in the summer? And if you have a relationship, someone might say yes, no, and of course they can share as little or as much as they want. It could also be that you have a question and you might say something like, oh, my understanding is for this religious holidays, it applies to the UK. I'm just wondering if you identify with another culture and you have particular holidays that you celebrate. You're very welcome to answer that or not. But again, once you have a relationship with someone and you're not directly saying, oh, where are you from? Where are you really from? Press, 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 press. And one of the things is about acknowledging our own assumptions and exploring them. So where are these coming from? Why do we feel the need to ask the questions? Why do we feel the need to other someone? Is it because of a lack of insight or experience? And if that's the case, being mindful of that. And remember, there are lots of people in magazines, in social media's full, books that choose to do this as their work. So let's not make other people who don't choose to do this as their work of explaining, let's not put the onus on them to educate us. Let's find those reputable researched resources that will provide us with insights of that experience. and think about holding back our own personal judgments and reflecting on our own perspectives. Where is this coming from? And one of the parts of that is being open about our lack of knowledge. I would love to know everything about everything, but I don't. And it's absolutely fine not to know everything. And also being mindful if you are reacting from a place of fear, which can manifest as defensiveness. Because what we really want to do is to be mindful of these power imbalances and create a positive environment for people to be able to share their journeys. So if you have an online campaign about roots to roots and people are able to share, and other people in the organization who are not from a South Asian heritage background are reading them, and it's online, and people can, they can share in their names or they can share in a pseudonym. That's great. And we can just read and learn from that. It could also be that certain people do want to share their stories and a platform is provided. And if it's an interview format, then there's a sensitive interviewer. There are ways of doing this. If people want to create a piece of artwork that they put on a shared space where you all kind of look and congregate at that, that's another really great example. But people don't have to do it in a way that exposes them. Because South Asian Heritage Month's theme for 2025 doesn't mean you can go around asking people where they're really from and all about their roots if you don't know them and a relationship hasn't been established. If, however, we are also from a South Asian heritage background and it's an appropriate context and we want to share, and there isn't so much of a power imbalance, that has a different feel to it. Giving space and realizing a lot of these questions may come from a lack of knowledge or feeling that you have a right to know. And finally, what do you hope to learn this month and use beyond the month for the benefit of yourself and others? So creating an environment where people can share their stories is not only beneficial for individual employees, but also boosts morale, engagement, and retention across an organization. If you're looking to foster a positive wellbeing culture and would like guidance on creating strategies tailored to your team's needs, then Diverse Minds is here to support you. Please reach out to me to explore training, consultancy, and coaching services designed to build a healthy, resilient workplace culture. You can email me at Layla, Leyla, at diverseminds.co.uk. And I really hope you've enjoyed today's shows and shows for over the last nearly 6 years. If you have, please leave me a review on Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast from. Don't forget, SpeakPipe is there. If you want to send me a voice note, that is bit.ly/SPKPDMP. And do check out my TEDx talk where I talk about my experience of navigating the connection between culture, race, and mental health in the workplace. It's just 12 minutes long, and the link is bit.ly/TEDx Wolves, WOLVESLO. And if you enjoyed it, please do comment, share positively, and and leave a positive comment, because that really, really helps. And the resources are the 2 podcast episodes I mentioned earlier on. And I really hope you've had an interesting South Asian Heritage Month. And I look forward to catching you later in the month where we'll be doing a review of the year. Until then, everyone, take care and bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Diverse Minds podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you access your podcasts from. You can also connect with me on Facebook and LinkedIn. Tune into next week's episode of the podcast, where I'll bring you more insights on mental health and inclusion. Bye for now.